Hey guys, welcome to Caster Calls with ZombieGrub, episode 4. I'm talking with Tempo today, a guy you might not see on a WCS broadcast, or I guess, well, EPT broadcast now, because it's a travesty. This guy is super awesome. He deserves to be whatever he wants to be. Caster, interviewer, host. I'm going to talk to him a lot about that type of stuff here on this podcast. So, Tempo, tell me, how are
Whew.
you?
I am fantastic. I'm feeling good, despite all the craziness going on. I feel like it fits us pretty well. We tend to stay in our houses for the most part anyway. So everybody's going crazy and like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And I'm like, that's all right.
Yeah, it's all right.
I don't mind. I'm cool.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people joke that like gamers have been preparing their entire lives for this, but I mean, we were just talking about how we're both really sad that our gym's closed.
Yeah.
So
Your boy
it
was
affects
getting
us a little bit.
swole. Oh,
Yeah. Six
hmm
pack finally coming in.
oh yeah. You know it. I mean, that's Fear Dragon. Like, he knows.
Oh, does
Rock
he?
solid abs, yo.
Salute. Yeah, I'm super sad just because it was like the way I got into the gym was it was an hour of basically like a time to not think about anything else, even if I was super stressed or on a deadline or something.
Mhm.
Not the same when you go outside, especially since when you go outside, everyone's wearing masks and you're like, oh my God, zombie apocalypse movie.
Right?
Oh, no, thank you.
No, I feel you. You just put on headphones and just, that hour or so that you stay there, get your mind off everything, and you just feel good after too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Get like a really good session in, not comparable to just taking a walk around the block.
Mhm.
But anyways, yeah, I think we're working out okay esports wise because we all well, especially for StarCraft-2, most of us, if not all of us, depend a lot on our Twitch income anyways. So the lack of offline events has certainly hit like a lot of industries and a lot of people in our industry really hard. We are a little bit fortunate because we already, I guess, had the stay at home backup plan. But yeah, you stream, right? So you're a streamer, you're a caster. You've done, I feel like, one or two hosting gigs, and well,
Mhm.
of course, when you do things like Kings of the North, you're kind of required to do like
Just like everything.
everything. Yeah, exactly. So you're even everything. But most people know you as the person who does the StarCraft 2 songs. So you're one of the OGs. It's weird to think about that because when we think of OGs, we think of the Brood War guys who came in, Day 9, Tasteless, Artosis. But we talked about this once, how we're kind of OGs. Like we're back there in
Yeah.
2010 and then really hardcore in 2011, especially you were. You really
Oh,
had an
man.
explosion back then.
Yeah, it was crazy, and, that was when I learned real quick about the muddy waters that is copyright. That I've got copyright, so it was really nice though, just getting all of those songs going and the videos. And there was a time that so many people were just vibing off of the game, right? It was new, and the tournaments, right, were so cool. We had a lot of stuff in NA, especially too. So it was kind of cool to be able to kind of get into that part of esports, I would say, because we were doing live shows and stuff too at events, NASL. Me and Anna did a performance there, and IPL did a performance there too. We had like Gordon Hayward come out. So there was a lot of cool stuff going on.
I don't remember that part, but I do remember Gordon Hayward being like the hot topic at one point, and like he's
hmm
still like a big gamer and super big deal actually.
Yeah, he's in like a Comcast commercial now too, like
Yeah,
for like
he's like
when
on the
Gordon
side
Hayward's
banner
playing.
of Team Liquid.
Yeah.
He looks so enthusiastic, and I'm like, yeah, sure, okay.
hmm
But yeah, like you even did it at Hell It's About Time. We asked you to come up
Yeah.
on stage.
Oh.
Do you also remember that there was a remember that totally random? It was North by Northwest actually,
Uh-huh.
right? Wasn't it in Toronto?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. I remember that too. Jeez.
That was a really
Yep.
random thing, man. But they just kind of like they're like they didn't have anything else planned. And they were like, "Hey, can you do a song?" And you're like, "I guess."
I was like, yeah, sure, why not? It was an outdoor event too.
Yeah.
So they had like the stage where they would play the games and whatnot too. And they were like, yeah, well, I'll get you up here if you want, and you can like do a song. And I'm like, okay, what happens if it rains? Like, I don't know. I think it ended
Yeah,
up raining
it
actually too.
did.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
We had to cut
Omen,
something
HP Omen.
short. Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
It was sponsored by that. That was such a weird random event,
That was
man.
random. And, like, what's her face was there too, Caitlyn, do you remember her?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? She
She
was doing
was,
stuff
yeah.
for, Omen, and I was like, where you been at?" I was like, "Oh, hey."
Yeah. That's where I met Whiff, actually. People might know
Okay.
her as TLO's wife, but she's also, like, TL's manager now, and StarCraft-2 manager,
Mhm.
that is, and a really cool person. Also was actively involved in Gears of War, but yeah, she was super cool.
She's awesome, yeah.
Met a lot of cool people there, but it really was a very odd event. But anyway, so people always are asking you to come up and do your songs because they're so beloved by the community. But you are also I mean, there's a reason you wrote those songs. There's a reason they're good songs. You are a singer songwriter, right? So what is your actual
Mhm.
day job?
So, I work, like, part-time at a vape shop pretty much.
Oh.
And then I do also so people will come here and usually, like, rap artists, in, like, the Boston area, and I'll, like, record them and do mixing too. So I do a lot of audio engineering. People will send me their tracks and I'll, lay it down, get everything nice and sounding sexy, and then send it back to them. And then they'll pay me for that too. So it's kind of like a mixture of many things, man. I think my last time I had a day job was like when I was doing accounting. And I
Oh.
was like, this isn't me.
Oh, it doesn't sound like you,
I
man.
was an accountant,
It does not.
for like 3, 4 years.
Oh, man. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, the freelance life is all about getting like as many gigs and side hustles, right, as
It is,
possible.
yeah.
So, not really all that surprising. But I know you had mentioned like working and editing and recording. So I thought you worked
Hmm.
in a well, basically what you just described. But I thought that was a day job. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. But no, it's super cool. I mean, you do it from home then?
Yep, pretty much.
Wow.
And then a
Yeah.
lot of it's just like word of mouth. Like I don't have, like Tempo's audio engineer extraordinaire like website or anything like that. It's more so the people that I used to even record with, even in like high school. And people in so I live very north of Boston now. I used to live more close to the heart of Boston. So I'd have a lot of people from Boston come in right off the train, come through, lay down like a mixtape over the course of
Sure.
like a week or two. And then, they'll tell their friends about it and say, like, yo, you gotta mess. It's Cal, so they call me Cal. They're like, you gotta mess with Cal, man. He's the Jedi. I got this one dude that comes through and he's like, yo, man, I don't know. It's just the vibe thing, and you just put the right flavor on the track and da 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 da. And it's just cool like that, I guess.
Uh huh. Well, that's pretty cool. I mean, a lot of our industry is also a lot of word of mouth.
Hmm.
Like, when did you start actually casting? I had known
Oh
you
man.
as like a fan, kind of, but I also met you personally very early on. So
Yeah.
I did know you mostly for your singing. When did you first start commentating?
So this was man, what year was it? I'm actually gonna have to Google this real quick because I know exactly what event it was. Um,
What
well,
event?
funny, it was the Demos Esport or the Demos Team League, is what it was.
Demos.
Demos. Do you remember that? Like that's how far back. Okay,
DEIMOS, something like that, right?
DEIMOS
Yeah, I do remember.
Team League, and that was like one of the. I think that was the first thing that I really casted.
That probably was alongside the URTL, man.
Hmm. Actually, yeah, it was actually pretty late, like 2014.
Oh,
So,
really? Okay, never mind.
wow, yeah. So 2014 is when Tempo really casted for an audience because I did one pro cast on my YouTube before and it was like Axelov versus Cats, I think it was. And I just did like, the Total Biscuit kind of style where I was like, I'm gonna be a commentator. I'm a shoutcaster, and I called it a pro cast. So uh but yeah, I think that was like my first real gig.
Mhm.
It was an online tournament, online team league. And yeah, that was because I had done a few things before that, but they weren't anything special. I did like some things on my channel and other people's channels. We would have like community tournaments and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I kind of
Yeah.
dipped my toes in it there, but this was
I
like my
mean,
first. Yeah.
you're pretty active, like, in a lot of different places is what I remember, because
Hmm.
you did sprites. What was it called? Wednesday night
Oh
sprites?
yeah, Wednesday Night Sprites. Yep, with
Yeah.
Chan Man and Living Pink and Vibe and Livy came on after, but Smix was also on it too.
Yeah,
Back
that was
before she was a
OG.
big baller esport host.
Yeah, right? When she got into CS:GO especially, she just
Hmm.
ran over us. But no, yeah, that was part of, like, a lot of the OGs, and that's why I was like, "Yeah, you're kind of an OG," even I mean, I came up, with, WCS casting initially and then base rate TV, and by WCS, I mean, like, online, so don't, get hyped, but
Okay.
but yeah, and then base rate TV, and then mostly that, but you had, like it felt like you had your fingers in, like, everyone's pie. Like, I would see
Yep, it's just
Tempo, and I'd see Tempo, and
apple
I'd
pie, pecan,
like,
blueberry, like
but the
five
reason is
finger
that
pie.
people really like you, basically. Like, they'll be like, "Who's gonna come onto this podcast? Who's gonna come onto the show? Who's gonna come onto this cast?" And people
Yeah,
would be like, "Tempo, he's eager, he likes StarCraft, and
I'm
he's
always
really easy
down.
to get along with."
Yeah, that was a big thing, right? Like, and I think when it comes to my casting, that is the kind of caster that I am. Like, I kind of take that vibe that I give off, or that aura that I give off, I guess. But it's more so of vibing with my co-caster or whoever it is that I'm talking to in an interview like this. I'm all
Mhm.
about the vibe, ZG. I'm
I
all
know.
about the vibe.
Yep. And you bring a really cool, as you said, vibe, I guess is the word we're gonna be using here, to the broadcast that you participate in, but they've mostly been smaller lands. You work a lot with Fear Dragon in a lot of the North
Yep.
American lands. Basically, Joe from Philadelphia loves you guys, and I can see why.
Yeah.
But I even Kings of the North, when you were available, I know they would invite you. I think we kind of missed each other a little bit on the one that I did before they went to online because you were
Yeah.
busy. I think I actually replaced you, if I remember
I think
correctly.
I was going to I'm trying to remember because I couldn't make it. I don't know if it was work or
Yeah.
something had come up and I was planning on going, but I just wasn't able to get out there.
Yeah.
I forget what the reason was, but you just I think the one before that though I saw you when like Alaris came.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I was there, I just wasn't casting. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I mean, it was a fun moment, and you've always been to, like, the Montreals as well. I mean, Canada, the Montreal and Toronto specifically is so close
Yeah.
to us,
I'm like an
so
honorary Canadian at this point. Like I
right?
actually yep, I got
Exactly.
it.
Me too.
I
You're
forget
on
who
there
gave
so
that to me,
often.
but I'm officially I think at your like your fifth bowl of poutine or something like that, then they adopt you there.
Oh, no. Then I haven't been adopted then, I
No.
hate poutine. Shit.
You gotta
Oh,
eat more
man.
poutine, Jess.
Oh, no, man. But the Australians
Oh,
adopted me, so that's okay.
oh,
That's
they
fine.
see. I mean, I'll take that. I've
Yeah,
never been
Australians
to
are pretty cool.
Australia though. Have you?
Yeah, I went with, Ozcraft in
Oh, yeah, yeah,
January.
yeah.
Yeah.
Word.
Yeah, that was a cool experience, but
That's pretty sick.
well, yeah, I mean, it was really nice of them to send me over there on their dime. But it was
It's
also an
always right.
amazing
I'll
event.
take a free. Yeah, yo, you want to come to
Yeah,
Australia for free? I'll think about it.
yeah. I mean, it was an amazing event, and had the Home Story Cup, like, feel, which I know you've been to at least one Home Story Cup, right?
I went to the Home Story Cup 10,
Yeah, Parting
the anniversary, the
Flash.
big. Yep. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was sick. Did they ask you to perform one for that one as well?
Yes, they did. I did. I did. All I do is stim, and when I'm Grandmaster, and then they had that dude. What's his name? Rez, who did the Hey Kappa Kappa Hey Kappa. You know, remember that song?
Oh my god, I do remember that song. Oh,
So he's
Jesus.
German. So
Yeah,
he did that one.
okay.
Well, clearly the song is in German, but like, but I had an awesome experience there. So I used to wear the tiger hat. Um,
Mhm.
I used to always love these little animal hats that I would get at like 7-Eleven. And I had this tiger hat that I brought to Germany and I traded it for a panda hat. And it was the worst decision of my life, man. I was so, I forget who it was that was there, but he was like, hey, man, I think we were both pretty fucking drunk. I was like, I feel like this is our connection. Maybe we were high too. I don't know. But he's like, this is our connection. I'll give you my hat and you give me yours. And I'm like, okay. So we had
Terrible.
this like moment of spirit animal transfer. And I missed that tiger though.
Yeah, worst trade deal ever in the history
Oh,
of
so pissed
ever.
after I woke up the next day and I'm like, oh no. what have I done? I can only think of Desro every time I look at this now, but I miss that dude.
No, yeah, that's a throwback as well. So many
Hmm.
throwback names with you. But yeah, so anyways, so you've not really made it to the mainstream casters. So far I've cast guys who did WCS.
Hmm.
But I think for you, maybe there was a bit of that whole like you had another job, so maybe you didn't get as many casting gigs as you wanted. But I always felt like it was it was odd, like when I
Yeah,
start listing the casters I think of who can either, do a good job and I think they should get a chance, or, someone else can't do it and there's a fill, there's always Tempo. And then
yeah.
it's just like, why hasn't he actually gotten a job yet? Did you actually have you ever at any point been like, yes, that is exactly what I want to do. I need to go get that. Again, WCS job is a dated term at this point, but you know what I mean? The
True.
big premier tournaments. Because I'm actually not sure personally either. I feel like you enjoy casting and I think you're good at it and entertaining and you'd be a great addition. But I never once talked to you about like your goals in StarCraft 2 or esports, I guess, in general. Did you want to be a caster?
I did for a bit, and I still would like to. I just haven't taken that step of being like, okay, setting my mind to it and being like, who are the right people that I need to hit up, and what avenue should I take, and like really grind it out with casting pretty much everything online and stuff like that. So I haven't made that step yet, and I've thought about it. And it's one of those things where I am kind of like that person that does this and I do that. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to make some music here. Oh, I'm going to, cast this one here. Or, okay, I'm going to stream now. And so many different things that I do feel like sometimes my focus is a bit scattered, So
Hmm.
instead of being like, hey, this is exactly what I'm going to do, let's go get it
Yeah.
for WCS. Like I remember when I saw Fear Dragon's post on Team Liquid and he's like, yo, my goal, I am gonna cast a WCS or like a premier event by the end of this year, right? And then he did everything in his power that he could do to make that dream become a reality. And I don't think I ever like did that with casting. To be honest, I've kind of done it more casually, and then for events like say uh, Cheeseadelphia, and I casted a little bit with Destiny and Winter at Home Story Cup 10. Like, it's kind of
Oh
been more
yeah.
of a thing like that, but hmm,
Hmm.
think yeah, I just got to have that introspection and that soul searching of just okay, let's make it happen.
Right, yeah. I think there should be a direct, like, there should be a goal in mind, but there is
Hmm.
also always that just, you hear a lot of people's stories about going into esports, and there's always a bit of luck
Yeah.
involved. There's like the right place, right time. But
Hmm.
Fear Dragon's a great example of someone who did actually set a goal and then
And just did
did
it.
everything he could, yeah, within reasonable measures
Oh, right,
to actually,
right.
it wasn't super obnoxious or anything.
No, no, of course not.
Yeah.
Ravi? No.
Obnoxious? Ravi? Never. No, you're absolutely right. But no, really, like he's very cool and he knew who to talk to, but he didn't never like overstep his bounds. Really important, actually,
I
feature
think yeah.
aspect of being, I guess, a good networker, right?
Yeah,
Which is a lot of
I think that's
what this is.
a good skill to have for anything, right? Like whether it's that casting gig that you want to land, knowing who to talk to and how to talk to people, when say you have a vision or a dream or what it is that you want to or a goal, and knowing who to talk to and then like how to approach the conversation as well. Like um
Hmm.
it is very important, and it is a skill that you can grow with. It's literally anything, even like when you're negotiating in any business or uh, you know
Yeah,
even like your job for a raise. Like it's definitely something that you got to know how to do.
yeah. But you've casted at this point like a damn decent amount of things. Like as I said, like pretty much all the Kings of the North, all the Cheeseadelphia. You do a lot of online casting as well.
CSL,
Yeah,
collegiate
exactly.
style. Yeah, damn. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think about it now, and I'm like, damn, man, your boys actually been casting quite a
Yeah.
bit. Damn.
Yeah, every time you get asked, it seems like, because I know Fear Dragon asks you for a lot of stuff, but you're always available and
Hmm.
you're always totally willing to do it. So I feel like you've done a lot of casting over the years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so have you might not have ever thought like, you know what, this is what I'm going to do, but I'm certain that you've thought about how much you want to improve at casting. And in fact, I remember talking to you at one point that you actually thought being a host
Yeah.
would be a very excellent job for you. And I gotta assume that's actually the case since you are a natural entertainer. Did you grow up entertaining or
Oh man.
dreaming of being on the big stage and all that?
Yeah. Okay, so I was more shy growing up. Like I hated being on the stage, like even doing chorus in middle school, you know, that was like the thing that got me, I got that like, oh my God, I can do it in the classroom and we can do, sing and all that. But now we got to do the concert. It's like, oh, come on, I get nervous like that. But
Mhm.
um, I would say that I have been doing a lot of entertaining and singing, practicing like presentations for class were always like a nightmare for me because I don't know, something about it. Getting in front of people was
Yeah,
really, really tough for me. Um, but I don't know what it was that actually got me comfortable doing it. But I think doing it over and over again, and we did like these talent shows. I did it with my one of my buddies actually, and I think having somebody else with me, like sharing that and performing, and we would do shows and stuff together, and I guess that's probably what got me over. Um, being able to stand in front of people and just do it. So then over time, I could do like alone, but practicing over and over and be like, hey, it ain't even that big of a deal. At the end of the day, you still get nervous, of course, and uh, after a while, I just kind of grew to love it, and even like talking to people, you know, uh, I was the type that would call my girlfriend on the phone and just be like playing Magic and just literally like not saying a word because I have no idea what to talk about. Uh, like conversation did not come naturally for me when it came to like phone conversations, even like that, or like talking to
sure,
people.
yeah.
Like I'd be kind of like, oh, but now I'll initiate. Like I'll stop someone and that I don't even know, and on the plane even be like, hey, like what's up? Sometimes I'm that guy. I know
Yeah.
people hate that, but
Well, sure, yeah. But it's very odd hearing that you were that guy. I mean, when you talk to people a lot of the time, for me, for Artosis, I think we both talked about how basically we didn't really feel comfortable being up on stage
Mhm.
or, talking to a bunch of people. I also kind of developed, an okay presence up in, front of the classroom over the years,
Yeah.
but I didn't really get interested in it until StarCraft. So basically, when you
Okay.
found something that you could be passionate about, right, is usually that trigger, that thing that says, like, you know what, it's not a big deal. Yeah.
And you love
So
what
did
you're
that happen for
doing.
you?
So that did happen. That's exactly what it was with the music thing, right? It was me and my boy. And that's when I first started doing like the mixing and stuff, and we would record our own songs and whatnot. But it ended up like making it easier. Like I still would do certain things, like I would show people my music, like, yo, check this out. Like, but I would never perform it, Like but once we started doing that, it was so cool because then like now we're going to random places and we're like freestyling in front of people in the most random of spots. And that feeling of just impressing people with something that you came up with, or a product that you're giving, like even like for casting for me, like I love it when there's some kind of reaction like that, and you get that feedback, is what me and Maynard were kind of talking about yesterday on the Pylon show. Like that feedback loop that you get from an audience is like, it's such an awesome feeling that it makes everything so worth it, and the nerves will go away over time. And you're like, I'm actually excited to do it, but I just hope it's good.
Yeah.
you know?
So when was your first, I guess, musical performance then?
Um, so I believe if we don't count like chorus in like middle
Yeah,
school,
not counting chorus.
yeah. I want to say it was in high school. Maybe did I want to say it was 11th grade, maybe, at this thing called the Junior Varieties, and it was like a talent show. And me and my boy were like making this song, and we're like, dude, we're practicing it and doing it up. And that was like the first time that I got up and was just like, this is something that I made. It's not like a song that my teacher told me to sing, or anything like that. Like I did like a couple plays, I think, way back in middle school, elementary school. But musical performance was something that I had done and wrote and said, all right, I'm going to share this with the world. I think it was like junior year. I want to say junior year. of high school. I think so, yeah.
When was your first offline esports broadcast?
So that was, I feel like Cheeseadelphia actually was. I just walked in as a guest, you know, I'm like, hey, I'm coming through, checking out some StarCraft, yo. Uh, and Joe, I was like, hey, Temple, you know, do you want to cast with me? Like, I did one match, and I'm like, I guess I've never casted live before. I'm not comfortable with my casting yet to be like, okay, you know, this is a thing that I feel comfortable doing. But I was like, you know what? The atmosphere was great. It was kind of a casual setting anyway, and I had already kind of talked with everybody and got like you know, pretty loose and chill. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's do it, man. Ah, man. And then when I did that, I was like, holy shit, like that was damn, that was like kind of exhilarating, right? Like when you're commentating and you're watching people that are so much better than you and they're right there, it's a little different than just getting in a lobby online and being like, all right, well, here we go. You know, I'm in my room, I'm chilling.
Did you find yourself in a comfortable position, like because you could draw from experience doing, the up on stage for music? That help you in any way when you did casting?
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it just makes it so much easier, you know. This time too with the co-caster, it reminded me of my PIC is what I call him, my partner in crime. That would be rhyme, my partner in crime, like rhyme. But uh it's cool, you know. If I had to do that solo, I don't know how comfortable I would have been, only because of like the StarCraft part of it, you know, and like, okay, I'm putting this out to a bunch of people that are expecting, you know, some good commentary. So I'd probably get in my head a little bit about that. But you know, as far as sitting there and being, because the way that they set it up before there was so, oh my god, the old Cheeseadelphia setup. Like you're just sitting up here, and it's like this very small room that everybody's packed into, but the casters are like a little bit elevated. So, but we're like casting out to the street. You know what I mean?
That's weird.
It
I don't
was
remember
so
it.
random. So it didn't feel like I had to cast in front of a bunch of people.
Uh-huh.
Um, but they were more to the side, so that made it, I guess, a little bit easier too. But I at that point, I don't honestly think that I was nervous about the people. It was more so just like my own doubts of being like, oh my god, am I good enough to commentate this, you know, live event? Just getting in my head, pretty much. Been it helped
Yeah,
with
it can
the
be
online
tough,
stuff, yeah.
but, I mean, that was your first, and you've done plenty since then. Like, whenever you get hired to do an event
Hmm.
and you go to, cast with whoever is there, I suppose. I wanna say usually Fear Dragon, but there's
A lot of the
Penguin
times,
and
yeah.
Steadfast and,
Hmm.
yeah, Joe, I guess,
Drenok
used to
back in the day
cast.
too.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh man.
yeah.
Um,
But a lot of the NA guys, basically, right?
yeah,
Is,
for the
you're
most
kind of one of
part.
the representatives, I would say, of the scene. But yeah, like you're an experienced caster now at this point. Do you ever go into a cast and know exactly what your goal is and what you want to do? You said you want to bring, cool vibes. Is that
Mhm.
primarily what you're thinking of? Is propping up maybe your co-caster?
I do that a lot. Yeah, I love to prop up my co-caster, whoever it is, and kind of feel what my role is going to be, right? So I would say that I am a bit I'm a bit analytical, you know. So I kind of mix it. I think might have been talking about like should there be like one analytical caster and one hype caster, but I feel like it depends on who you're casting with, right? Like there's so many different roles that you can take depending on who is on the other side of you. So I try to adapt there. Yeah, take a page out of Abathur's book.
Adapt, overcome. Yeah, exactly. I think yeah, I think there is not a restriction to the play-by-play, and, it
Mhm.
has to be one and one. I do
Okay.
think that it complements each other the most, but, sometimes, both of the same type work. I mean, people like Tasus and Maynard a lot
Hmm.
to out-hype each other, and then there's people like, I remember when I first cast with Roddy,
Uh-huh.
it was, like, my first offline gig was Nation Wars, and I was, like, not prepared. I didn't wanna take any of the cues, I was so nervous
Yep.
about doing the whole, like, and, "Here we are, guys," like, "I'm gonna mess up. I can't
Yeah.
use the cough button, I'm gonna mess that up too," like,
Uh-huh.
I was
You
I
get
was,
in your head. Yo, you get in your own head
yeah.
half the time too.
Yeah. So I also wasn't really play by play, which I've pushed more lately. But Roddy and I actually worked well together, even though we were both analysts, because we would just get like incredibly like hyped about the analysis part, right? Together. We would just like build on
Yeah,
top of that
okay.
type of excitement. So I
Bouncing
know
off
it
each
can
other.
work. But in your opinion, do you prefer, like, whenever you think back to some of the co-casters you've had, do you prefer to like well, I guess how many co-casters have you felt the necessity to actually just stick to one role, is a better way to put it?
Okay.
Any?
A few, I would say. Like when I casted with Drenok, he wasn't necessarily like the most knowledgeable of the game, but he could really hype up a battle, and he had a decent understanding. And I think he was like diamond at the time, and he was more nervous about his game knowledge too. So I would kind of step in more as the analytical one, and then I would let him do a lot more play by play. And I felt that worked really well with us because sometimes you can cast with somebody and be analytical, like you're saying with Kev, and you bounce off each other analytically. Yet you still can one of you can take the hype part and still kind of go back and forth with it. It's almost like a feeling thing or just a cue or I don't know how to explain it, but uh in your situation, that is more like two analytical casters that still can get hype. Whereas in me and Drenok at the time, I did feel like I would have had to take more of that analytical role and then like really start to study and be like, okay, I got to make sure that I know what I'm talking about here. Um,
Yeah.
so,
Do you have any role models when you think of casters that you want to like be like?
oh man, it's crazy. Like before, I remember Apollo way back. I would watch almost everything that he would put on YouTube. TB was huge. I love TB. Man, it was one of those. He was one of those casters that was just like, okay, I don't give a damn what it is that he's commentating. Like, there could be like a barrel rolling down the street right now, and that shit was hype. Like, damn, like if TB's casting that barrel rolling down that street, that shit is lit right there. You know what I'm like? Oh my god, it's something about being able to bring that energy and just confidence too, no matter what. And I would say there, as far as I remember analytical casters that I would really I love Artosis, like when I watched them on GSL, he was one of those casters where I could understand how the chemistry with him and Tasteless was just like so good. And how I don't know how to explain it, but when I was first watching just that bit by bit the first time back in like one of the
Oh
first
god.
GSLs,
Yeah, yeah.
and just how they commentate. It's one of those things where they can kind of joke around, be very analytical at the same time, yet still hype it up. It's like the perfect trifecta, right? So Artosis was huge for me, I think, as far as the approach of being able to be silly but still be able to tell the story of the game and be like, okay, it's not too much of one. Except for I guess sometimes they do lose it, but
Yeah. They can be a bit funny,
yeah, man.
bit off the rails.
Oh, for sure.
But they're an excellent example of synergy working out well. But they've also built
Yeah.
like a significant brand, which I've talked
So
about.
long. Yeah. Hmm.
Have you ever considered? I keep mentioning that like you and Fear Dragon do a lot of stuff. Have you ever
Mm.
considered? Have you ever talked to Fear Dragon about being more of a duo and kind of representing
Hmm.
yourselves as a
The
duo,
casting
especially?
Darkon.
Oh God, yeah, yeah, yeah. Didn't you guys sync that up? You guys have said that
Yeah,
before.
that would be our brand, and we would just rock
Yeah.
it. Yeah, honestly, we've talked not necessarily about like, hey man, let's do this thing. Like me and you were gonna be a brand. It's almost like people have already branded us like that duo. Like, oh, the I love the Fear Temple combo. It's just like a thing that it exists, right? But it's not anything that we have pushed or anything like that. But I think that would be awesome. I'd be totally down. I should definitely talk to him and see what he thinks.
Well, there's a lot of conversation about whether like a duo branding is actually better. There's a lot of examples of duos who have done very successfully, right?
Hmm.
But it might be one of those like, what is it? Confirmation bias might be the word. You only see the successes.
What? Yeah, true.
Yeah. So I mean, I
Trying
don't
to
know
think.
if it's, really the best thing to do, but
Hmm.
it does seem to have a lot of power,
It
especially
does.
since in a situation where one of you gets hired, another one is a consideration. Well, if the one guy
Yep.
says no, bring him, then you're
You're always
hopefully
in that conversation almost.
yeah, exactly. You're always in the conversation at least, if not the default go to
Hmm.
alongside whoever you're with. I mean, it could be like a I feel like it would be a
That's a
good option.
I think so too. Honestly, like, and if there's one person that I would feel that confident in actually branding and doing something like that with, it totally would be Ravi. Almost like the bitter dam back in the day, right? Like
Oh yeah.
that was one for quite some time actually. They were almost inseparable,
Yeah.
right? Like that was a duo.
Right, yeah. That was kind of like an
Bitter.
accidental thing as far as I know. I'll
Uh-huh.
have to ask Roddy about it actually.
Yeah.
But where Tasteless and or Toast have like talked about how much they intentionally did things.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Roddy and Mr. Bitter ever did, but they did NASL, so it kind of
NESL, yeah, maybe it's just by default, like it.
it's a very different atmosphere, right, in StarCraft 2 than it was back when we were both just fans of StarCraft 2. Back
Mhm.
then, you had so many leagues happening that you could have casters who always were with each other just because they were the two guys that are hired for the
That
event.
is right, right.
For X amount of months. So you would get opportunities to build that. So, you bring up a good point with Bitter Dam. There was also Axlav and Axeltoss,
Oh,
right, for
yeah, yeah.
MLG.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they were definitely considered a duo. I'm definitely there was one for Great Warp, wasn't there? I feel like him and someone
Um,
else always wanted to be together.
I feel like I should know too.
Yeah, but there were a couple that were being built up, and then Nate and Roddy eventually became kind of a duo
Mhm.
representation because they did a bunch of WCS NA. I think at one point Todd and Kolaris almost had
That
that
was like
going.
yeah, I know, right? Wow.
Yeah. But it's very different, like we don't have I mean, this might be a good thing. We don't have 2 casters for one event anymore,
Right.
which is probably a good thing. We have
Probably good, yeah,
at least
yeah.
3. But it's something that, like I don't know, me like, you can comment on this as, of course, but
Mhm.
I always think about that and how hard it is for guys like you and me actually to build a brand when there's
Yep.
fewer opportunities to be on that camera repping what you know. It's like you
Yeah.
got one shot, you better do really
You
fucking
better.
well.
Exactly, yeah. No, I feel you on that, right? Like, damn. I feel when Chi started really getting that recognition, there was a bit more pressure. Like, okay, I don't know who's watching me right now. There could be somebody from WCS or, you know, TB had hosted us there too. So hey, maybe he'll consider me for that King of the Hill thing that he had done. Like stuff like
Yeah.
that, where it's like every opportunity, yeah, and it's you think about it, and it's like, damn, I guess we're kind of doing it right now. So do I want it? Do how bad do you want it? It's almost like, are you gonna take it seriously here, or kind of just be like, oh, I'm just doing this event because Joe's my friend. Like, I don't even like StarCraft. Let's no, but
Cute.
those thoughts do definitely go through my head. So I think this year I wanted to focus a bit more on music, but even like we were talking about the hosting thing too. I would love to see who I can talk to. And it doesn't necessarily have to only be SE2, but I would love to kind of at least pick some people's brains, like Kylaris, the way that he kind of transitioned into that role. Even Smix, to talk about like, hey, you know,
Who to talk to
rain that
about
knowledge on me,
this?
as far as
Yeah.
what do I need to do, right? I'm really interested in this, and who do I need to talk to? Like, what's good? Got any tips as far as your road to where you are at today? So I think that is the one thing that I haven't done as much, reaching out to people and really just being like, hey, can I pick your brain for a bit, or sharing my I don't know, at least want to do it. So
Yeah. Like,
that's
it's
really
kinda
what it is.
funny. We we don't ever wanna, like, just randomly poke people, right, and be like, "Hey, give me your
Mhm.
wisdom." But it
Yeah.
is one of those things where in the same time we're apprehensive because we don't wanna appear like we're just a guy asking for a handout.
Yeah, right.
We also we need to actually inform people that we want this
Want
thing.
to. Exact I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. Like, when people hit me up for a gig or something, it's more of a, "Hey, are you free? Like, you wanna do this up?" Like, people know, like, I'm probably gonna be down for it, But at the same time, I'm not having Blizzard coming up and being like, "Hey, do you want to cast this event?" Like, or do you want to host this event? Because we just don't even know if that's what you want to do, right? Like, you kind of have to have some image of how you present yourself and what it is that you're trying to do, and let it be known and reiterate it, right? And continue to push. And the more visibility you can get just by doing more stuff, then people are going to start to be like, hey, you know what? Like, this guy's name is going to come up whenever I think about doing a cat or a tournament or something like that. So I think it's all about that and how you present it and say, hey, this is I'm serious about it, right? Like you want to be like, look, I'm not just kind of dicking around like, all right, I'm just going to go, cast this whatever tournament and I don't really actually, want to pursue this. I just did it because I was bored or something like that. Or I guess I'll do it because no one else will, or, you want to actually present yourself in that way. So I'll probably do a little bit better job, I think, about that this year, letting people know exactly what it is that I want to do.
Yeah. I mean, I would look forward to it. I know there is like one specific, one very good example of when I was like, wait, why not just tempo, right? Was
Hmm.
WCS, okay, WCS fall, whatever. Last year's Montreal.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
It's no longer a system. I don't have to name it
It's
like
just
they wanted.
like,
But yeah, for Montreal last year, they actually did not have a host because Mix
oh,
did a CSGO event, which is actually a potential problem with almost every event because CSGO has events all the fucking
oh my God, right? Yeah,
time. It's always like, are they going to grab Smix? Like, what can we
probably.
expect here? Yeah. She actually says she does like a lot less nowadays. Well, obviously everyone's doing a lot less
Hmm.
nowadays, but over the last, couple of
Specifically,
months.
yeah.
Yeah. But it was always one of those things where it's like, well, shit, like if Smix doesn't do it, like who
Hmm.
is there? We have a backup, we have backup desk hosts, right?
Yep.
Kalaris and Nate kind of could swap off on that. But then even after them, I actually struggle to think of who else would do it. I guess
Oh,
Roddy tried. Artosis tried once. Tastus
uh-huh.
is amazing, but he doesn't like doing it.
He just doesn't like
So
doing it though, right? So he lets that be
yeah.
known, I guess. Then.
Yeah. I think he's been pretty vocal about it in like interviews and stuff. But shoot. Anyways,
Yeah, I remember who
the
was it that?
host role, the stage host, that is,
Right.
it really was like they. I think I was talking to Maynard about it, maybe, or maybe the person who was choosing, but
Hmm.
they were like, Smix can't do it. We're reaching out to other people, and it ended up being Cloakin, his name,
Oh
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
which is really cool, because everyone loves his voice, and he's
He does
obviously
like
a
the
member of the
voiceovers for
Blizzard
the
community.
a lot of stuff.
HOTS,
Like
yeah.
Heroes. Yep.
Well, but yeah, the Heroes of the Storm HOTS, not the real HOTS.
Get it right, yo. We hot as eyes, yo. Come on, son. Actually, yeah, you got. I don't know that game. Whew. Swarm host. I don't know PTSD.
Yeah, oh yeah, that yeah.
Mhm.
Let's not talk about the previous iterations of
Yeah.
StarCraft,
All
man.
right, then heroes can have
Yeah,
hots. They can take it back.
yeah, they can take it back. But Cloakin was a potential. Yeah, ended up being chosen. There was a third guy that like he was. I think he was literally just one of those like he did the thing. He said I'll do anything, and
Okay.
he joined. I don't know if it was a talent agency or not, to be honest, but he
Okay.
joined something that would then say this guy is available to do anything that is
Should it come
available.
up?
So they also had him. They also had Maynard
Oh, yeah.
as a potential
Potential.
choice.
Hmm.
Yeah. But things kind of fell through. So we ended up with Cloaking, which was great. But that it raised that question of like, well, who the hell do we
Who do we
find?
go
And this is a
for?
very like it could be a very potentially serious problem if Smix were to keep doing CS:GO
I
stuff.
know. Yeah,
So
you may
I
make a
I
good
remember
point though.
just
Yeah.
thinking about this and then being like, why the hell did they ask Tempo? Tempo goes to all the Canada events.
Hmm.
Tempo is a great entertainer. He's obviously comfortable on the stage. And I couldn't think of a reason except that perhaps he just never let anyone know,
You want to? Yeah.
right?
Right. Wow.
We
Whew.
had talked that one time at previous
Montreal.
Montreals,
Yeah. And I remember
but
there was one that Mal did. Right? Was that one? Remember Mal? He ended up
yeah,
hosting
I think yeah,
a
that was my
Montreal.
first WCS.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah, I think that might have been the same Montreal where we ended up talking
Talking
about
about,
hosting.
yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, that sounds actually like a really good thing for you. You should
And I'm like,
try.
yeah, yeah. And then like never did anything about it after. Like typical Tempo to be like, hey, I really want to do this thing, ZG, but I'm not gonna let anyone know about it. It's our secret, all right? Like,
Yeah, right. I'm just like, all right.
don't tell anybody though.
Yeah,
Nah.
but it would be super cool. But I think like I do struggle to think how you would even start that process. Like same when I would talk to Cyan Esports,
Hmm.
and he's friend interviewer slash journalist, and I'm like, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
Like I can kind of give you tips about how to become a caster, but
yeah.
host, interviewer, stage host, like
I'd,
I'm actually not sure.
I'll definitely look into it too. Like, I'll reach out, the dudes at ESL, just be like, hey, yo, like even Kyle Iris, I could probably just DM and be like, hey, bro, if you have like a minute or maybe can I borrow a bit of your time? I'd like to really know, what the process is and what I can do. Do I, need some kind of experience? Is there certain guidelines, right? Because he's pretty experienced now. And I actually respect him because of the way that he approaches the hosting role, right? Like you have like your red eyes, right? That are just like probably, professionally trained like in that aspect of just nailing it. And then you get Kylaris who can really lighten the whole mood of everything and still have great banter and like have his giggle moments too, right? Like he has his own personal flavor to it. So I think that
Uh-huh.
I would kind of like figure out that, what would be my personal brand of hosting, and then that would be what I work on and perfect that.
I guess just reaching out is always the
I
first
think that's
step,
the
and
number.
then
Yeah.
it's also the
Like,
branding that goes along with it. As you were
mhm.
saying, it's not just about letting people know, but it also, and that's why again, duo casters pairing, you get twice kind of the
Yep.
marketability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like, but of course, like a host can't really do duo hosting.
It's like, yo.
That doesn't make much sense.
Yo, imagine that though. It's just like, nah, man, me and Fair Dragon. I don't know. Just a hypothetical, but it's just like, we don't host in this unless we're both hosting it. Yeah, we're co-host, That would be an interesting concept, bro, but still funny.
Yeah. Do you think that with especially the new format, first I'll ask you this: with the old format of things last year and the old guard of people hiring and all that,
Uh-huh.
did you think there was enough opportunity for people to come up in the scene? Someone like you or someone like
To be able to.
Coltarin, Laughing Games, like a
Hmm.
bunch of the cast I'm not thinking of.
I think it was tough, but I do feel like you could. Like it was a possibility, and I'm thinking like even Fear Dragon's story, and Nate's story. A lot of these people that are coming up are those, or the people that came up during that time were people that were like, all right, I'm gonna dedicate Wardy even, right? Like he's doing his thing pretty hard right now, and you'll see him at different live events now too. I think he was at like Gamescon, or one of those.
Asus Rod.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So it's stuff like that where I do feel like it's there, but yes, you do need to put in a lot of work for sure.
That was an Asus Rod.
What was it? It was God. I mean, it's been in a few, but
WESG, like WCG, one of
WESG
those.
definitely
Yeah,
was a
one of those.
WESG. I don't know which one it was, but I've seen, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think so. I do believe so, right? Like
Hmm.
whether your come up is in WCS or these other events like that, even the Cheeseadelphia, like coming up, like that was an accident, you know what I mean? And it just happened. So imagine if somebody else does, put in that work and then says like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do. They perfect their craft. They have their own like fan base that can prop them up a bit more too, because that'll help as well. Just to have people that request you, like, we want CG, get her on WCS. If GG doesn't cast WCS, I'm not watching
Yeah,
it.
right.
Like,
That's the tasteosis reaction, man.
for real.
I wish.
Boycott.
Yeah.
It's like holy shit, damn. I guess we
Do you
better hire.
think that those guys who actually did get the opportunities got so because of just a little bit of luck, because they reached out, or is it just the amount of content that they do?
Content, yeah, visibility. I think the more stuff you do and the more consistent you are, almost with anything, it's just about being there. Like even in music, you'll have these rappers that aren't necessarily good, or even like singers that aren't necessarily like technically good, but they're just dropping music all the time, and it's like I just keep hearing about this person. Like who the hell are you, and what, how are they so big? Because it's more so just like I'm just gonna keep on dropping music until they notice me. Like it is what it is. I don't, bombard them.
Yeah, right?
Uh,
How much of the technical aspect of casting or hosting or what have you do you think I hate to put the phrase it this way, but I will.
mhm.
Do you think actually matters?
Hmm.
Is it
Well,
more just like a I'm not talking about nepotism necessarily. I'm talking more
yeah.
like is someone just like, "Hey, I think they do a good job. Let's give them a chance." And
Huh.
you think that just having a good personality basically will get you through, or is there any merit in saying, "You know what? I went to interview school,"
I know,
which I
right?
guess is journalism school, but whatever.
Maybe.
Would that actually get you a lot of credit? Because
I
I know
guess.
at least one person in the sports world who actually was, I think, a journalist before she became an
Okay.
interviewer was Frankie in CS:GO. But yeah, it's not usually what happens. People don't usually hand over a resume, right? So do you
Resume
think
of
the
like, yeah.
technical aspect of things is actually that important?
I mean, it's something that I'll find out over time since I haven't, you know, I'm hoping that I'm sure that there are multiple avenues, right? There have to be different ways for someone to notice you. Like you could totally have, the communications degree and be like, hey, this is I know what I'm doing, and you're confident in like how you present yourself too. So like you can do that technical aspect of it, but in our industry, I feel like it's not as important, right? I mean, sure, you can go to, get that degree and maybe you slept through all the classes or whatever, right? But you just happen to, pass. And then they're like, all right, well, show me something. Show me what you got. And they're like, and it's just like, well, so I do feel like the way that you network is like so important too. And I'm realizing that it is a lot more important. Like you'll have even casters, right, that may not be like the most knowledgeable or this, but there's something about how they go about it and that they're doing it all the time. That it's like what? Hey, he carries himself really well. People like to watch, them commentate, and it's like, hey, fuck it, why not? Eventually, if they're doing it forever, it's like there's something about there's something special there. So, and they have a really good work ethic. So, I guess I'll give them a shot.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was gonna follow up with is just like, as a fan, right? Because
My
yeah,
cat's in a my cat got stuck in a bag. I'm sorry. He has a bag on his. I'm sorry. Oh, LB,
how are you not showing
he's
this
struggling
right now? Come on.
because that side of the room is a little messy. Okay,
Oh,
ZG,
okay,
it's a
all right,
little.
all right. So I get stuck in a bag, man.
Right. Uh,
Yeah. Luckily, my cats just kind of bang on the door behind me.
oh yeah,
They don't actually
chilling.
come in.
Apollo and Ziggy.
Yeah, yeah. But I was gonna
Oh,
say,
sorry.
I was gonna ask you as a fan, just like what you've noticed as a fan watching the people who kind of just get gigs, right? So there's
Hmm.
the people who constantly get gigs, and then there's like the pop ups, right? Like No
Hmm.
Regret popping up on GSL,
Yeah,
Creighton Olsen, right, as
Creighton.
well.
Yep.
Yeah, and what you might
I
have
think
seen. Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
work ethic is probably the number one thing that I've seen consistently work. Just grinding and just being there and being enthusiastic about and passionate about this is what I want to do. You know, I feel like in our scene especially, it's been almost consistent with almost everybody that isn't like the old guard, like you say, but yeah, I feel like they're all grinders. Y'all are all grinders. Yeah.
Thank you.
A
I
bunch of Tony
guess.
Hawk pro skating.
That's exactly how you beat the levels tempo. You just grind the
Just grind
rail.
it. Put that infinite balance cheat, and you're good.
Yeah. No, I think that it is true, but it is like, obviously there's a little bit of luck
Hmm.
that goes into it because as much as like Creighton Olsen actually really does a lot of work, but the first gig he
Hmm.
got was because he was basically really charming on camera.
Yeah, it's just
Um,
like wow, okay.
which is like
No, but it's
he did a fantastic job. Under a lot of pressure too.
hmm. Yeah,
But there is that. Like and sometimes just kind
I
of happen
agree.
magically.
Sometimes it just happens, right? Like getting lucky is, and then using that lucky opportunity, being like, yo, let's run with it, man,
Yeah.
right? Because you can totally drop the ball and be like, all right, well, I got lucky once, but I didn't follow up, and then the buzz kind of faded there, and it's just like, okay,
Yeah, actually
Yes.
keeping that buzz is really difficult to do. Again, going back to the lack of events that we have.
Yeah, true.
You know, you don't just get one chance at 4 different uh weekly shows, but you literally get one
You
chance
get
on a
it.
3-day
Yeah, they
event.
just whew,
Yeah, it can be tough.
how do you do it? It definitely ain't easy for sure.
For this year, we have a new overlords basically. I mean, Blizzard's still there, but less so.
Yep.
And you know, Apollo is at the helm of a lot of things. Do you feel a lot more confidence in the idea that there could be new casters, or that you yourself could actually? Do you feel more confident that you could reach out and actually start
Yeah.
a
Oh,
discussion?
for sure. I feel like yeah, especially man, I was so hyped for Cheeseadelphia too, right? Like that was gonna be it's actually to not tomorrow, but on Saturday. But the live event, like I wanted that live event, and I'm like, all right, we're gonna kick off this year, with this live event. We're gonna go in. I'm gonna do my best. I'm gonna just try to kill it, as best as I can, and run with it from there. Jump on like these ESL weeklies, stuff like that as well. So, um, yeah, I think there should be a lot more opportunity. I feel pretty confident in that. As far as I mean, what events are we really supposed to have this year? I forget, right? We got
Well, so there was Katowice and then Dallas,
Dallas. Yep, I forgot
Valencia,
about Dallas. That was one.
Montreal,
Yep.
China was one that, and this is not me breaking any NDAs. They released the rule book or whatever, and it had China in it, and then they were like, that wasn't
uh,
supposed to be in there, and they like took it back. So I thought it was a public thing, so that was awkward. So I think
You're like,
China was supposed to be
whoops.
one. And then, so Leipzig is basically the other one that, again, I'm not telling any
It's like
secrets. It's the only event in January. Like, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't know, man. So I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Leipzig.
Uh-huh.
And then Katowice again were the
Okay.
ones that, because there was the 2 unconfirmed ones that I just
Yeah.
quote unquote spoiled. But that was our, yeah, that was what we were given. And then there was maybe a little bit of discussion about having offline Challenger again,
Okay.
whatever it is now called. But I don't think there was ever anything serious about that. So, yeah, those were the events.
Okay. So I mean, there's a decent amount. Like, and I don't know if you guys or if they do like everything beforehand or set everything up for the year, but
Oh, hiring casters.
yeah, stuff like
Oh,
that.
Tempo, you little silly boy. No, they did that. They did that once actually, and it was
Uh-huh.
quite good. But this is really coincidental. I talked to Pig about it, and he
Uh-huh.
correctly pointed out that if you do that, then you don't get the reward based on merit. You could
Okay.
be terrible at Leipzig and then still get Montreal
Already.
on the
Yeah.
bookends of the year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which was my case. No. So, but yeah, no, we don't have that happen. It is very up in the air. You're contacted probably a month in advance if you're
Okay.
if they're really good. So it could
Cool.
really be anyone, because we're also we being, I guess, the mainstay casters more so. We're also just like, we don't even know, who's hiring for DreamHack.
Which
Like, oh,
yeah, true. I have no idea.
yeah, or how many people they're gonna hire as well.
Mm-hmm.
5 was like the default for some reason for WCS, and I'd always assumed money,
Okay.
because money makes the
Just
world go round.
uh-huh. I would do.
But I don't know now for ESL and working with DreamHack. I am in the dark as much as you
As
are.
far oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So I mean that's actually cool then, as far as that goes, like it does allow you to kind of keep striving for that and the potential of new blood or for in my case even like as a host, kind of like okay, I can kind of aim for something here and be like, "Hey, this event, who's hosting it?" Like do you need a host,
Yeah, exactly.
or just kind of push it a little bit but not too crazy, just like, "Hey, I'm looking to get into this," or say if it's another caster like Creighton, he'd be like, "Hey, I've been grinding. Literally, you see me every day. Casting this, casting that. I'm good. So kind of have to have kind of sell yourself.
Oh yeah, a lot of selling yourself in a
Mhm.
prostitution way.
Not like, hey, as a former male stripper, I did not participate in the selling of myself.
Okay. Oh god, this took a
Chocolate
weird
ice was
turn.
100% legit.
Oh, geez, now that I've forgotten my train of thought because we
I'm
started
so
talking
sorry.
about prostitutes.
They
Just
ruined
typical,
everything, GG.
typical
I
lewdness.
mean, you can't have nice things, man.
Oh, we were talking about next year or this year rather, not next year. This year,
Uh-huh.
more hiring spots, you hosting, and oh, actually, I remember what I was going to say.
Opportunity.
I was going to say. If you
Okay.
were given an opportunity and say it was because either Smix is not available or they just went with you instead, you know, for
Okay.
some reason, would you be afraid of a lot of backlash?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily, like I would kind of use it as a way to be like motivation, improving myself, right? Because it's one of those things where it's like, oh wow, like why tempo or this or that? Like I haven't proven myself yet. So I feel like at the beginning I would expect it, I'm sure there would be some, noise, but I wouldn't let it bother me, I would feel pretty confident, like, yo, I'll win them over. That's like my goal right there. It's just like, hey, proving grounds, kid. It's like stepping up for your first rap battle, and it's just like, oh, yo, this guy sucks. Like, we love Super Hot Fire. Like, who's this scrub? And it's like, oh, damn, okay, okay, oh, all right, I kind of like him. Like, okay, boy got bars. Okay, I'm still not 100% sold on him yet, but you know, something like that where it's like a proving ground almost.
Uh-huh. But again, it'd be like within a span of 3 days. That's
I
a
know.
really, really tough proving ground.
Yeah, I would be a little nervous still for sure. It's like, all right,
Mhm.
making sure that get this right because I don't have that comfort level yet. It would be something new and exciting, but at the same time, definitely a bit nerve wracking, I would say, right? Because I don't even have like that brand. It's like this is my flavor of hosting, or this is my flavor of professional casting here, right? Like what flies, you know, ESL stage or be very very new. I think it would be exciting though. I don't think I'd really care what people said though. I would hope that they would say nice things, but I wouldn't let the negative stuff bother me.
It's probably better because especially as a stage host, you're gonna be immediately more connected to the crowd at hand anyways.
Yeah,
So, the worst case scenario for you is not the guy
start throwing apples
online.
at me and like
Yeah,
tomatoes. I
exactly.
hate
It's the
tomatoes.
real life people just, like, either throwing apples at you or just, like,
Thunder
the
sticks.
crickets. No, the crickets, man. The, like, "How's everyone
Ooh.
doing?" Chirp, chirp, chirp. That would be
Yeah, it's
terrifying.
true. Oh, like imagine just bombing like so bad. Like, what was I thinking?
Uh, I don't think there's any way that you can do that, though.
I know, but I was just thinking how funny it would be if that would be the case. Like, man, Tempo, he's gonna kill it, yo. Oh man, he's so energetic, and I just get up there and I'm like,
I was unprepared. Like, run off stage.
I can't do this.
I, yeah, I feel like there really hasn't been too many, if any, bombs, to
Yeah,
use a very
I don't
harsh
think
word
so, right?
from
Yeah, I
people that
mean,
are brought
whew.
up. But, like, I mean, if we're so I
You think
think
about it.
StarCraft 2 is really stabilized in many ways, viewership-wise, player base-wise, balance-wise,
Hmm.
whatever,
Yeah.
in the last 5, 6 years. But, thinking back to 2012, if we're gonna be brutally
Hmm.
honest, a lot of the opportunities that were there because there were so many events also led to a couple of not great
Ooh.
commentators
Yeah.
or
Oh, believe
hosts.
me. I won't name any names, but hot damn. I mean, I can think of at least like three off the top of
Yeah.
my head. And you know what? I'm actually gonna name one name only because it was a redemption story, okay? When Greetorp
Okay.
first started, I remember him getting so much shit and he was nervous and like he kind of would go on to cast like very like it just didn't feel like he was ready. But hot damn, man, I don't know, like just even his character as far as like a person and talking to him, he just got a lot more confident too. And he was always a really nice guy, but it was more like a soft-spoken nice guy. And then over time he became so much better than when he first started that I think he won a lot of people's hearts because of the fact that he started like that and kept at it, even though people are just like, oh my God, like here he comes again. And he fought through all that, studied, got a lot more knowledgeable and kind of found himself you know, he definitely got in his bag and was like, all right. And he just killed it, you know? So big ups to my boy Greetoy. But there were some other ones that didn't have a redemption story.
Yeah. Yeah, not so much. I think we all know like which one.
Oh God, one clearly, but
Yeah. Actually a lot of people who came into StarCraft at this point, because we say you come into StarCraft and Legacy of the Void, you're so new, and it's like, oh no, that's half of the game's life. So
mhm.
actually, a lot of people listening to this podcast might be like, who are they talking about?
Who
Is
could
it
it
is it
be?
Roddy? Are they talking about Roddy? It's like,
I know, right?
okay.
Are they talking shit about Roddy right now? Like, who? Not my Roddy.
You guys need to go back to 2010. Anyways.
Oh, jeez, yo.
Anyways. I that like I can really only think of though my point was more like I think on a technical level I've watched a decent number of casters and been like, that's not the greatest, right?
Yeah.
But I
Mhm.
can only really think of, yeah, maybe 3 or 4 casters that were actually they bombed. The
It just
entire
was,
community didn't like them.
yeah, you know, and you know, it is what it is, right? Like, not everyone's gonna, you know, just kill it or even have something. You know, I don't want to be. It sounds so like an asshole, right? Where it's just like, but I mean, it is true. Like, you know,
Yeah,
sometimes it don't work. Sometimes you just don't got the juice. You tried. You got an opportunity. But get him out of here.
get out.
next, next, you're fired. Nah,
Well, I was gonna say, like, I think
I'm just.
contrary to like I think popular because in many ways every online community can be a straight up asshole, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in a
Yeah,
surprising way, like the StarCraft community has actually not been too bad. This
yeah.
might be a
I'd say
little
we're
bit
pretty.
of bias, I suppose, because I've never really been hated by the community, like, knock on wood.
Yeah, no, for real.
But I've watched other casters come up and either like people generally don't say anything, right? Or they say something
Or
positive.
something nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's only been a few cases where it's been just really negative, right? And
Would you be scared of becoming a mainstay esports commentator or host? Any esport really, but we talk about
I
StarCraft
don't think
too.
so. I think I mean the breaking into it is more what I'm fearful of, I guess, as far as like, okay, finding myself as, you know, a commentator or host, you know, it's like, okay, I I have something that I need to, you know, present right now, right? Like what's my style going to be? This is what I'm going to be known for. I can't just be switching it up every time like super crazy, right? Like people kind of like you for certain things, and then if like I come out there and I'm just like, hey ladies and gentlemen, we're going to have a really rocking StarCraft 2 show today, and it's just like, the fuck, Tempo, what,
What even was
who are
that?
you?
That was like a TV ad in Toy Story. Like, come down to Al's
Hey,
Toy Barn.
maybe I should do commercials too. I don't know.
Yeah, you should. I get your point though. Like
But
people are
right,
gonna
like
want to
I wouldn't.
expect something.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind becoming a mainstay though. Like I feel like at this stage right now for me, just as a, you know, individual, and how long, you know, I've been so familiar with the scene. I honestly, I think I'm ready. I would say mature enough to be like, hey, you know,
Oh, Tempo's all
I can
grown
dig
up.
it. I know, a little Eddie Murphy.
Yeah. Well, I guess onto a more like technical side of things. I think it's you're the hold on here, let me think real quick. I think you're the only person I know who's really has a more musical background. Oh, nope, Maynard does too,
Oh,
actually.
yep, yeah. We're gonna make a
That's true.
Linkin Park collab. No, I was kidding. I was
Yeah,
joking
that's
about.
right. You guys should really collab, man. Yeah, but I guess it's harder to remember that Maynard did that because he never did it when he was in StarCraft, right?
Yeah.
His days as a metal band, I guess, is what he was in.
Mhm. Apparently
He's gonna yell at me. He's gonna be like, "Actually, I was this," and I'm gonna be
oh,
like, like I know music."
it was hair metal. You know, it was actually like, you know, there's so many subgenres that
Yeah,
people get offended when, you know, you say the one thing like, this isn't EDM. Actually, it's you know, super electro bass,
yeah, something,
subtronic.
something.
Like what?
Yeah,
Okay, my
exactly.
bad, my bad.
So yeah, it could be hard to remember that he has that history, but you are still actively working with musicians. You're working on a technical level with people's voices,
Hmm.
and while singing is definitely a different pacing, and there's actually a lot different.
Yeah.
I'm like getting into audio editing because of all this, and it's like I can't even begin to think about what music people do, but
Mhm.
Anyways, I think you come from a unique background in that aspect that you've seen, I guess, more of the if we can look at the professional broadcasters of a traditional sport and be like, we should be more or less like them.
Mhm.
We do that pretty often as well. People will
Okay.
either say they always listen to offline, sorry, to traditional broadcast or not.
Yeah.
I feel like your perspective could actually come from more of like the crowd hype, right? Like kind of similar to Maynard. Like you would
Mhm.
be the bands hyping up the crowd, not suit and tie, not just
Yeah.
professional do it, but rather connect with the crowd in a more casual
Yeah.
level. I'd actually love to hear your thoughts about what you would think if you've ever watched a commentary of StarCraft or any other esport, maybe Overwatch
Mhm.
League or something like that, and been like, you know what, these guys are actually fucking it up. They should definitely chill out and work on this more. Do you have any experience to draw from in regards to that?
Um, yeah, it's so weird because different events have I always feel like you do need to cater to the event in most cases. Like, what is the whole vibe of the event, right? So sometimes you'll have this more casual vibe and you will have somebody that's a little bit too serious or just like needs to loosen up a bit, right? Like it's you know, you I always keep bringing it back to the vibe thing where, there it's don't think for a second. So it's one of those things where just being able to actually, absorb the whole atmosphere, right? And then being like, all right, how are we gonna actually do this? So I don't know. There have been times where I would, look at an event like that and just be like, yeah, it just feels off. Something just feels off, and I can kind of pinpoint certain things about it, but sometimes it's just as like a chemistry thing. As far as the technical aspect of it, I don't know if I have much like I don't think I'm in the place to be like, no, like do it over. Like this is how, I'm not necessarily the manager, the managerial type when it comes down to like the performance side of things. It was more so like I know that I can get the people going, It's like I know how to kind of cater to my environment and you know when I'm being too, over the top or the balance, right? Like you can play it on the safe
Mhm.
side, or you can just be like, well, this is me and I'm gonna do it. Let's go. Like the only way that you know how. I think being very adaptable is so important because sometimes you need to be able to fit in that puzzle piece. Sometimes people try to put the square peg into the circle where it's like, a lot of the times it's just about being like, all right, how can I kind of like fit in here and how should I approach it? Is it
Mhm.
working? What's the reaction? And then I can kind of go from there, right? So it's it's such an interesting topic though, because I feel like there's no right or wrong way to do things, but like a single right or wrong way. There's a lot of wrong ways to do things, but I would say
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Like there's not like a this is how you're supposed to do it, and like this is it right here. The
Yeah.
rubric, the guideline, like boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Mhm. Well, I think to maybe hone it down a little bit, for instance, WCS for the past until it was defunct
Mm-hmm.
was pretty suit and tie.
Mm-hmm.
There was only a little bit of bants allowed, and very little time to also be a group on camera.
Yeah.
It was 3 of us or it was 2 of us.
Yeah.
Home Strike Cop, obviously, on the opposite
Complete
side of
opposite,
the
right? Yeah.
spectrum. Yeah.
Like
But
imagine.
did you ever look at a WCS broadcast and you were like, "Whoever's in charge here, like, he needs to to loosen up." I'm actually asking you to criticize
Yeah.
either us, the casters, or
Uh-huh. So for like
whoever did the event, I guess.
I think WCS, at least from my perspective as a viewer, it seems like the balance of it has been really good. Um, like I don't know how it is behind the scenes, but there's like a perfect level of just that banter kind of, and yeah, sure you are dressed up and all, but it isn't like the whole theme is just like you're sitting there, hands crossed only, and just like, all right, guys, today we're going to be talking about StarCraft 2. StarCraft 2 is a great game made by Blizzard Entertainment in 2010, and like you guys kind of all vibe like you rock with each other a lot, and there's a lighter tone, even though it you guys are dressed up and fancy and it's a very high scale production. Um, but at the same time, it's not necessarily, like when you go to like you watch like a basketball game, right? And the commentary during it tends to be a lot more bland, in my opinion, except for
Mm,
like the certain hype parts, but it's very by the book. And the analyst table sometimes are like that, but the post game shows and stuff, they loosen up a bit more. But sometimes, you get that kind of feeling that, yeah, I wish they'd, like, just do it a little bit more, let loose a little bit more. But I understand it, right? Like, we're talking like Fox or CBS or these big broadcasting agent or broadcasting networks that I've been doing this forever and they're by the book. So I think we have the opportunity to kind of reinvent how we do things too. We don't have to copy it
mm.
necessarily, and kind of find our own way of presenting it to people. So I think you guys are starting to loosen up a bit more, even though you keep the professional look. So somebody watching that has never watched it before, I'm like, look at these jokers, right? Like, yeah, but they can still, okay, get into it. This is looks professional, okay. And other bigger, um, say agencies or outside networks might even look at it like, okay, these are actually, maybe we will broadcast this next WCS on ESPN or something, right? Like it's
Yeesh, right?
professional, and I know, right? Well, they did. What's it called? What was it?
Overwatch. They did Overwatch.
Yeah,
Oh, you're talking about Here's the Storm as well,
Heroes.
right?
Yeah, that's what it was. The one that
Yeah.
Suppy's team won.
Yes. Suppy's forever in college
Dude,
getting all
like,
the
I swear to
collegiate
God.
money. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we did a good job too. I definitely prefer the way that Katowice was. We literally got to wear a couple of, some days we wore
That
shirts and all that.
was awesome. Yeah, I think that's what I mean. Like, yeah, going,
More that
as far as
direction.
loosening it up, that was perfect. I
Mhm.
think, you know what I mean. Like, I was really, really, it just felt great, and you guys seemed like you were really chill and loosened up, and it was perfect.
Yeah. So it sounds like you actually do watch some traditional sports then.
Hmm.
Listen to the commentary. Okay.
Yeah,
Do you
I
have any thoughts about like do you ever look at that traditional commentary and say like I need to be like that guy? Do you have a favorite commentator?
not really. I'm not really a huge fan of a lot of traditional commentary. Like, I don't mind it. Um, I'm more. I even I like to actually look more even at like WWE commentary. So
Oh, okay.
they do a lot of like banter and stuff too, but they'll talk. It'll be like low key for a bit. Something exciting will happen, but they'll play by play it. But then they'll be bantering. I love it. It's just like an entertaining style for me. I know it's over the top a lot of the times, but I am more entertained by that. Like, I don't
Hmm.
watch football for the commentary at all. Like, I could care less really about it. I really don't care. I like the game. I'm more interested in the game itself than like. But like WWE, I love the commentary and I love both. Um, it has more of a StarCraft style where you can, or esports style where you can be like, okay, I know that commentator. I love it when he commentates, right? Like, Jerry the King, Michael Cole. There's like Corey Graves and Byron Saxton and all these. I know you don't know any of these names, but I can name commentators from that, and
Okay.
I don't give a shit about like the basketball. All right, guys, and baseball. Oh, please don't even get me started on baseball commentary. As if the sport isn't boring enough. I swear. I'm sorry if people like baseball a lot, but
Oh no, you're
holy
right.
shit, it's like the most boring commentary I've ever.
Yeah, isn't that like League actually like, oh, I'm gonna do the StarCraft 2 is dying thing to baseball fans? Isn't baseball kind of dying?
I mean, I don't know. I don't watch it really. I
No,
mean,
like legitimately, I see like people can like talking online about how they should make baseball better because it's really lost its status. So that's what I'm
mm,
coming off of here.
oh yeah, no, it was like the great American pastime, right? Like that's what they can
Yeah,
hold on to. But man, I was like, bitch, please. I like playing baseball, but the
yeah, watching
commentary I
it's
think is just dog shit. And then also like the sport itself is, if you like, I like the team, then I'll watch it. And like, if I'm
mhm.
like drinking beers with like friends or something like that. But even going to a live game, I'm just sitting there and I'm just like, oh my God, like you need to get beer and drink it to enjoy it because it's
Yes,
like
it's a requirement.
uh That's my personal opinion, and I think it's boring.
Right, yeah. People are gonna attack you for sure.
I know, right? That's it. Tempo. You
Yeah,
crossed
that's
the
it.
line.
You're done. Yeah, I was talking with Pig a couple days ago, and he mentioned that he likes watching cricket, which, by the way, I learned is apparently this like super long sport. I knew nothing about cricket,
Huh.
and then I went to Australia, and they kept on talking about it. It's like
Yeah,
3 days
cricket's like.
long, Tempo, like
Oh
more.
no, really? Oh, I've never
Yes.
watched. I might have seen something on like the. I didn't know it was like a long ass game like that. Like, do
Yeah.
they, like, what do they go home and then come back?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yo, you know what
I don't
sports
think they stay there
intense?
the entire time. What?
You know what sports intense?
What is sport?
Curling.
Oh yeah,
You
you
ever
think
watch
that's intense? I've
Olympic
watched it.
curling is
Yes, I've watched
intense, yo.
it.
It's like, I don't even know the commentary for it, but it's something that was so random. I'm like, oh my god, I don't know why I'm
Tempo's
watching this.
Tempo's commentary for curling is you did
That's all
the
I would
thing
do.
better.
That's all I would do. Yep. Oh, here she goes. She's
She
really
sounds
just
fantastic.
shaving that ice. I still don't understand it, like how it works, but god damn, it captivates me, and I don't know why.
I wasn't as enthralled. I remember back when that was kind of like the thing. Suddenly everyone was into it, and I was like, no. So I'm still against it. But it is like you bring up a very good topic, which is WWE. I mean, I
Mm,
was gonna eventually broach a topic with you because you're brother, but
yeah.
I sort of figured that you also were interested in it, of course.
Yeah.
Kalaris also loves.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he loves WWE. He's always tweeting about it, and I never got it. But whatever. Do
Yeah.
you think there's a lot that StarCraft 2 can learn, or any esports can learn from WWE? Because I see people say like, yes, absolutely that, and like UFC fighting as well. The way they
Uh-huh.
set up tournaments and create storylines,
That's
right?
one
Because
of
that's
the
what.
biggest things that the commentators do, and you
Hmm.
rely on the commentators to make well, you rely on them to make you care more about like how important like said match is, right? Like the storytelling and mixed with the banter and mixed with the play by play, it's just something else. It makes it so much more, so much bigger than it is, and it really reminds me of StarCraft 2 and how when we're at a tournament, how important it is for the commentators to actually be like, all right, the more the commentator can tell this story or make this like make you give a shit about this match, it's just a StarCraft 2 match, right, in the round of who knows what, but how do you make the people care that this is an important match for these players, or like the backstory, like why should I care about this player, you know and then I mean, this is a topic, of course, I'm sure y'all have talked about um in the past, but I think it's one of the most important things, and it really reminds me of WWE in the same way, where it's like, wow, okay, this is crazy, right? Like when my brother was going for the title for the first time, they're like making the commentary so epic as far as what it means to him for being in the game for so long and never getting a title shot, and being held down by Vince, and well, Vince McMahon is like the CEO, and he's like the
Oh
big.
yeah,
Yep.
isn't he kind
So
of a
it was.
douche?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay,
Well, they call him he who shall not be named. So,
gotcha.
but yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, and he'll be the first African-born WWE superstar, and like just all these different things, and like his family, and they incorporated the kids into the run, like wrestlers coming out and like pointing at his wife in the crowd, and like the kids like, yeah, yeah, that's your husband, like he'll never be champion, like stuff like
Oh
that.
wow.
Stuff. It gets over the top and crazy, and that's what makes it just fun, I guess, to watch. But the commentary really, like, they do a really good job as far as storytelling goes. So I think that's probably why I drew that kind of parallel. So
Obviously we don't want to manufacture storylines or
right.
write the script. Everyone jokes that Overwatch League is scripted because of the stories that can pop out there. But like, I wonder how much would you, if you were suddenly like a host, either it's your first gig or maybe you've already cemented yourself in the scene.
Hmm.
Would you try and bring more of that WWE style into it? Like we
Hmm.
try and bring up storylines, but we're still mostly factual. Smix goes
Yeah.
on stage and she's mostly factual, not a
Hmm.
whole lot of like the bants and joking.
Yeah.
Would you go up there and be more like, like, and here's True, the man who can only ever make Zerglings and nothing else?
Yeah. I probably. Yeah, no, I mean, I know what you mean, right? Like adding that like little spiciness to it, and even yeah, I believe so. As far as hosting goes, I think within it being tasteful, not
Mhm.
tasteless, no, but
Yeah.
but like like yeah, I would probably be on that path as far as giving it that little extra sriracha, so
Yeah, I think it's something that, like, we always talk
to
about how
explore.
we yeah. Yeah. I mean, exploring it would be nice because we don't have I mean, as much as we love Smix and is damn good at the job as she is, we don't
Hmm.
have variety, which can sometimes be a bad thing, right?
Yeah.
Other esports usually either they have to basically branch out in all
Hmm.
regards, interviewers, in the player pit, and because there's so many
Yep.
events.
Right.
But we don't get necessarily that big of a mixture when it comes to our stage hosts. So it would certainly
Yeah.
be a way to appeal differently, and maybe that's going to get you more pushback, right?
Yeah.
Because stereotypically,
Because not
StarCraft 2
everybody.
is a little more of that straight laced type of esport, right? We kind
Yep.
of hold ourselves to a higher standard.
Hi, yeah, we're like the gentleman's game, like we're
Yeah, we're fucking tennis, man. We're so lame. But yeah, yeah. But it would be something that would be interesting. It's difficult to do because, the players obviously have to play a bit of a role. And some people have been kind of cool about coming out and doing some things. Pure Dragon had that competition where they did something
Yeah.
silly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Do you think like you're so good with people. Everyone likes Tempo. Do you think you
Oh.
could do a really good job of bringing out the player,
The
especially the
players.
non-Korean players,
Yeah,
personality?
I think so. I do it a lot at Cheeseadelphia interviews,
Mhm.
so I've been practicing just like kind of the personalities of different people and how to even when I co-commentate with like the players and whatnot. So I think so. Like I feel like a lot of people do feel a connection, and I'm genuinely interested too. So a lot of the times I'm not just kind of just like, all right, here comes the interview, and hey, blah 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 blah, this is that. I kind of, I don't know, it's a feeling thing, and I'm genuinely interested, and I want to know the answers to these questions, and I'll kind of dig a little bit. I'll try to get as much backstory as I can in order to incorporate it into that kind of question. So, it's really yeah, it's really important to show that one you care and ask them the questions that make them think a little bit more and maybe smile before they actually answer it to to kind of lighten them up there. And like you said, not all players are like that. Not all players will actually give you that response. They'll kind of just give you this whatever answer. I know like
Mhm.
special special is one of them like that. Cyril sometimes actually will, you know, like I've seen him a
Maybe a
little
little bit
bit,
funnier.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
I
right.
mean, Neeb's a good example of someone who I thought really did start to come out of his shell.
Yeah.
GSO versus the World last year, he was actually he was kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a wise ass, but
Yeah, yeah.
he's a little cheeky. That's the word.
He was. No, but it's true, right? Like and we noticed that a lot like when at Cheeseadelphia with maybe it's because we know them so well that it almost seems like super casual. Like I'm just kind of sitting down, shooting the shit and being like, man, no, that last game, man. But I do my best to try to get some kind of a backstory, um, so that I can kind of bring it up there because there's a lot that people don't necessarily dig for, that I feel there's so much potential to do. So, and I think the players are interested in actually like, you know, they want to, you know, talk that shit sometimes or, say what it is that's really on their mind. And you let them, don't make them feel comfortable to not hold back.
Yeah. It's a pretty important part of the host job. It's
Hmm.
just being almost trustworthy, I
Yeah,
suppose.
right. You got
Yeah.
to be genuine. It's just like one of those things where you can definitely feel it just from the feedback of the crowd or the person that you're interviewing too.
Hmm. Yeah. Do you have any other things that we could like you would incorporate into StarCraft based on your, love of
Hmm.
WWE?
More steel chair. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, just bring up the steel chairs, man. Just
Just
give it
like
to
keep,
Sarah, see what he does.
yeah, just put it by by the players' chairs, and at any point in time, they get like one pause where they can just
They get one
pick it
good
up.
smack.
One good smack, man. You get one good smack, but I don't know. I would say, what didn't you guys do the belt thing, like the trophy?
Oh, hell, it's about time. Yeah, we did the belt.
Yeah, like I love different types of trophies, but as far as even like WWE, we've done a lot that is similar. I remember NASL did like WWE style entrances before.
Oh, yeah.
They did that. I remember like
Yeah.
Idra just like
Yes. Gosh,
just
his
and but I'm
trance
telling you, that's like
songs.
some people are like that too. More variety in that aspect. I think we even did it in Home Story Cup. Was it something like that where they had I don't remember then.
I don't remember
I
that,
don't think it was Home
so
Story Cup.
much. Well, there's been a lot of, like, grand entrances, but the
Yeah.
whole problem with doing something like, like the Idra thing again is that, it's copyright laws.
I
Korea gets
know.
it so easy, man. Korea can actually just do whatever they want with the music.
Yeah. But I know what you mean. I'm not saying like that's what we should do, but I remember certain tournaments doing stuff like that, and it was kind of cool. But I don't know. Steel chairs, most def though. We need some
Yeah, I
steel chairs, man.
think that's what we've
That's pretty
decided
much
on.
it. I mean, we have everything else, right? So
Imagine you get one pause.
just and
It's
they'll
like
know
before
it's
the
coming
banelings
too.
hit.
No,
Yeah.
right
I
before
would
the
do it if someone cheesed me, man. If
oh
someone
yeah.
made DTs, I'd be like, wasn't
Wow.
yeah, that'd be great. But I not jokingly, I think I get what you mean. Like it could be cool to have more. We have become so used to kind of a standard thing because
hmm
WCS took over for so long. There was Home Story Cup, but there was WSG, but like, oh man, like that's a whole
Yeah.
thing. And
Some
WC, like so many of these things kind of replicated the bit of a suit and tie format
hmm
or on very odd hours. So it really did feel like you had WCS, then you had the complete opposite spectrum,
right.
where it used to be that you would have Red Bull, which was actually really
Yeah.
good about doing the type of stuff you're talking about,
Yep.
like the
Okay. Red Bull. I
grander.
forgot. Yeah, and just
Yeah.
not being afraid to break the mold there, right? And just do it up. I'm sure they have a lot of experience. Of course, they do so many different productions, and it just felt cool like that. I like that if different events do have different flavor. Like not everything has to be like pyro and entrance music and like fireworks popping up all over the place by any means. But I do enjoy a little bit of variety whenever it comes down to any event. Like every event can have its own little personality, but at the end of the day, you're still keeping it professional, right? It's because it can come off as kind of tacky sometimes too, right? Where or awkward
I
if
don't think WWE is ever tacky. I don't know what you're talking about, Tempo.
right? Yeah, sometimes they wrestle on thumbtacks and stuff too. There's some extreme matches, holy shit.
Oh,
Just,
okay. Ouch.
ooh. Now there's this one guy that was just crazy like that, and he would always do the most extreme stuff, and I'm like, this guy is out of his goddamn mind. His name was Mankind, Mick Foley, if you know that name. Uh, Possibly. He's
See,
yeah.
I played the WWE wrestling game on like the Nintendo 64 or something.
Oh, yo!
And
Do you
I played
remember
the Crow? Was
WCW
that his?
versus NWO?
Maybe that
WWE
was it. I don't remember,
WrestleMania?
dude. It was so old. There was
Dude.
the wrestler who died. What was it? What was he? What was his name?
Owen Hart or
Oh, I don't
Chris
know his
Benoit?
actual
Well,
name.
Chris
I don't know
Benoit is
why.
another story, but
I don't know why I said his actual name. Like I would actually know it. No, it was like the guy like he dressed up like a crow, and he like his whole thing was like he was dark and mysterious, and
oh, like my boy, what Ultimate Warrior? No, no.
shit,
He
I
said
don't
he
remember
dressed
because
up like a crow.
it's not the Crow because the Crow is a movie, which is a very
Uh huh.
sad ending. But oh god, something like that. I would always choose him. Is
Uh
what I'm
huh.
trying to get to in
Yeah,
this
yeah,
game, and
yeah.
I never learned anything about WWE except
Oh,
how to
this guy.
button mash to beat my
Yep.
brothers. It's because that's WWE, then I understand it perfectly.
Yep. That's basically it, man. Just button mash, and then sometimes you do a sick move out of nowhere, and you're like, "Oh, good, cool."
Yeah, right. We need more signature moves, I think, in
hmm
StarCraft. Like people used to have signature units, and it's like it was so well ingrained in a Brood War. You know,
Uh-huh.
Voxer and dropships, Flash and
Yep.
tanks, fantasy vultures. StarCraft 2 doesn't have
Mm,
as much as that.
have as
Like
much,
that, those are
right?
the type of things that yeah, I
QXC
think
Hellions
WWE
was like the
does
last
so
time we had
cool.
that, I think, right? Like, remember QXC Hellions? Like that was
Oh my god, that is such a throwback. I mean, I
uh,
was thinking Rainer Lings.
oh yeah, true, true. Yep. Oh god.
Yeah, but no, yeah, that was a good one as well. The
That's like the
Slayer's Blue
last.
Flame.
Yep. Yeah, that was like the last time that I could really be like, that was, that person's signature. And we even still bring it up every once in a while, but um
Yeah, and it's on the casters to kind of make those stories because no pro gamer is going to be like, I'm going to be the guy who comes in on a bike and I don't know, like
like a camel,
yeah,
coming through.
yeah, like they're going to do that, right? But Tastosis are very good at creating those nicknames and calling things by silly names, muttlets and all that.
Mhm.
But otherwise, we've kind of churned our titles. The Night King has come and gone because
Yep.
Game of Thrones sucked.
Oh
But
god. So
we don't.
salty about that.
Yeah, that's part of the storyline, though, and I think that's what WWE does well is that they really push a brand onto someone.
Yeah.
Literally, and it's like in their contract and stuff. But also with the casting,
It's true, yeah.
it goes from again not just like the storyline of their parents died in a car crash and now they're doing it to
Yeah,
raise
like
money for their little sister, and you're
it's
like, oh
like,
my
"I
god, this
know,
is so
like,
depressing.
geez," you know?
It's more like this guy is the Ling abuser or some shit. Like I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, I'm not the person creating these names.
The Ling
But
abuser. That's every Terran that makes Hellions.
yeah, but it'd be so like that's the type of thing I feel like we should be pushing, but
Mhm.
I don't know how. I feel
Yeah.
like that's the one thing I would watch WWE for is for inspiration.
Or yeah. Uh it's true. I mean, sure you could like experiment with it too, and the more that you do repeat something, like then it becomes mainstay if it sticks. Um
Mhm.
so it's definitely something to think about too. And it's like, am I doing this just because I want my what I said to become like a mainstay, or is it like literally, yo, this should be highlighted so that every time that Cyril comes in, he's like, the guy that and just doesn't even know what the GG button is because he never loses. It's like he took the G key
That was
off
a
of
good
his
one.
keyboard.
Never has to use it. That's good.
Nope. But it's like
Yeah.
yeah, there's a lot of opportunities, I think, and it's like, how you do it and not force it too hard, but makes if it goes and it can flow, and I think that's like a big thing too. It's right. Like I think for SC2 for us, like it would have to almost be natural, but it's just about grasping those kind of opportunities and being like, okay, hey, there it is. A lot of missed opportunities that I think could be at least explored more.
I think there's a lot of story building that could be done prior, but
Hmm.
I think to maybe again like appealing to a StarCraft 2 audience, which the hardcore ones especially are more about the
Yeah.
analytical. And even the casual viewers I think come in and kind of expect us to
Hmm.
be because again, we have that
Yeah.
personality, that branding for us. But if we actually sat down and was like, let's like back off on casting, let's just think about
Mm.
really cool, even partially fantasized
Like romanticize, like
storylines, like yeah, exactly, romanticize,
yeah, yeah.
exactly. Like an impressionist
Yep.
painting. That would be such a cool, trippy thing to try to
Yeah.
do, for even like a cast or something.
Right?
That's
Like
I feel like you'd be good at it too.
I totally I'm about to think about it. I'm going to the drawing board right after this interview.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Which speaking of which, actually, you've been talking
Oh,
for again quite
oh
some
yeah.
time,
I didn't
so
even know. Oh my. Yeah. Hot damn.
it's fun to talk about this
It's
stuff, man.
fun. It really is.
So thank you so much for coming on and talking to me again about casting, about your perspective as someone who's done a lot of casting but hasn't quite broken through, and
Mm.
an entertainer and a singer songwriter. Like,
What
I
can
think it
he
was really
do? No, I was
cool.
kidding.
Exactly. Like, what can't you do? I would really like to see you,
I
in
can't do
some
that thing
hosting
where you
job.
like rub your belly and pat. Okay, I can do that too, actually.
Oh my
Where you
god, you
rub
can
your
do
belly and
it!
tap your head at the same time. Wow, amazing.
Yeah, it takes a little bit, but
I can't touch my tongue to my nose though. That I can't do.
no, I can't do it either, unfortunately. Well, I still think you
But
can do everything, Tempo. Anything you set your mind to.
Damn right. Hell
But
yeah.
seriously. I think it'd be really cool. Just also, if there is a chance for more variety with the new system, maybe there's just
Hmm.
more money. I don't know. I know
Yeah.
because like there's also been more talk about being more open to other tournaments coming in.
Other
Red Bull's actually doing something, not
yeah,
offline, but still.
but still, right? It's cool.
Yeah. Then I definitely would think of Tempo and throw your name into the ring. So I'd hope to see you more in this
Yeah.
year offline when we do have offline tournaments again.
I know, seriously. God damn.
Yeah. But until then, where can people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/tempo, and that's with the zero. So temp 0, 0 degrees. That's the freezing point for my Celsius users. We got youtube.com/temp0 as well. And then if you want to, you can check out my Instagram at Team Tempo with the zero. And my what else do I have? Premium Snapchat. That's exclusive. Premium Snapchats are exclusive, so
Did
I
you have
guess
Twitter?
maybe. Yeah, Twitter too is Team Tempo with the zero. Yeah,
Think that covers it then.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, I think so. If you guys haven't heard of Tempo, you guys should definitely check out his YouTube. It's not just a treasure trove of really cool like fan content for StarCraft 2. It's actually also a treasure trove of nostalgia and learning about the early StarCraft 2
Yeah,
history. So I think it'd be a really fun trip for you guys and definitely check him out when he's live on his stream. Till we meet again, Tempo, thank you so much for doing this. And
of
to
course. Thanks for having me.
you
Yeah.
guys out there, have a wonderful day and stay safe. See ya.